NCAA 25 leaks reveal a buff is on the cover and a couple more commits for Coach Prime, plus more, all coming at you next.
Give me my theme music!
Welcome to Buffs News Weekly, your weekly recap of all University of Colorado football news. I'm your host, Russ Dornish. We are getting so close to our goal of 1,000 subscribers, so please, while you're here, hit that subscribe button and let's see if we can hit that goal soon. For now, let's jump into the news. Right off the bat, the big news came as a leak on the PlayStation Store may have revealed the cover athletes for the brand new NCAA Football 25 that will be released this summer. To give you a little bit more context about what is going on with this game and information that we have received, Matt Brown, the author of the Extra Point newsletter, has been covering NCAA 25 news since it was revealed that the game was coming back. He has been able to pull and release a number of pieces of information. From that, he has also gained the trust of EA. So, EA has been feeding him information to share, as well as some information that he is not allowed to share. One piece of such information, which he did talk about this last week, was in regards to the cover athlete. Or should I say athletes? In an interview, Brown stated while he could not confirm the cover athletes for obvious reasons, he did state that there would be multiple covers with players from the main conferences at different positions. This leads us to yesterday when the NCAA listing on the PlayStation Store revealed the deluxe edition's cover of the game. Featured prominently are Quinn Ewers from Texas, Donovan Edwards from Michigan, and Colorado's own Travis Hunter. For those playing at home, each of those players plays a different position and represents the Big Ten, the SEC, and the Big 12 respectively. This pretty much all but confirms that Travis Hunter will be one of the cover athletes for the video game, giving the Buffs something they have never had before. There was lots of speculation now that either Shador or Travis would be getting the cover, and it is nice to finally see it happening and confirmed. Travis currently holds the second highest NIL value evaluation behind Shador and has truly become a household name around the country for college football fans and even non-fans alike. Later on in the day yesterday, EA Sports did tweet out and confirm that the leak was real and that unfortunately it wasn't what they wanted, but that more was to come and there were still some surprises to release. Now, since this is a quieter week of news, I thought we would take this time to summarize the confirmed features and highlights for the new NCAA game ahead of what looks like now, based on the timer that showed up on the website for NCAA 25, it's May 16th reveal. That's right, we are just over a week away from the full reveal of the game, the cover, and everything that you want to know. Now, if you don't care about the game or video games in general, feel free to jump to the player news highlighted on the progress bar down below or the timestamps in the description. Again, going back to the game, Matt Brown has been confirming left and right features and expectations within reason of what he is allowed to say. For the first time in the game's life, it will feature all 134 FBS teams, meaning teams that were never playable before will be for the first time. FCS teams will not be featured, but EA is looking into expanding in future years to include those teams. He also confirmed while there have been over 10,000 players to opt in, coaches will not be featured in the game this year, but will be in future years. As for game modes we can expect, all the wanted modes are there with Road to Glory, Dynasty, and of course the game mode that maybe some people aren't as happy about, Ultimate Team, will be in the game. The big questions, however, going in had to do with the evolution of college football that we have seen in the last number of years, since the last game included the inclusion of the transfer portal and NIL. The big questions going in more had to do with the evolution of college football in the last few games since the release of the last game came out. The big question going in more had to do with the evolution of college football as a whole since the last game was released, and whether or not the game would include the transfer portal and NIL. And Brown did confirm that both will be in the game, along with the 12-team playoff and conference realignment that we saw this offseason get approved. This is great news for people who love the Dynasty mode, as it gives all the tools for players at home to recruit and construct their very own program. For those that don't know, I am quite a big gamer, and I even stream a variety of other games on Twitch currently on a different account. However, NCAA was always a huge part of my childhood and one of my favorite series of all time to pick up and play. I can't wait for the release of this game, and we will make sure to do weekly streams for that game leading up to the season this fall and beyond. So stay tuned, and of course, subscribe so you know when we go live with those live streams. Colorado got 3 commits this week, 2 commits from the transfer portal and 1 high school commit. Up first was Ivan Yates out of Furman College. Yates is a 6 foot, 180 pound corner who had a good showing during his 4 years at Furman. Yates ended his time with 37 games played, 15 starts, 93 tackles, 1 interception, and 13 passes defended. Yates will still have 2 years of eligibility left, so he brings some much needed depth to a very talented now DB room for Colorado. The other transfer continues an already great offseason to revamp Colorado's linebacker room with the addition of linebacker Johnny Chainsaw Chaney Jr. to the team. Chaney, a 6'2", 235-pounder, comes with only 1 year of eligibility, meaning he will be expecting to become one of the starters. During his time at FAMU, Chaney was all SWAC this past year, posting 73 tackles, 7.5 tackles for a loss, 3 sacks, and a fumble recovery. Chaney joins recent additions Nakai Hill-Green, Jalen Wester, Keaton Wade, and returning players Levante Bentley, Trevor Woods, Jeremiah Brown, Brandon Gant, and Kieran Garcia in a much deeper linebacker room than what we saw last year. Colorado also got a late commit yesterday from another 2024 recruit in Chidozie Nwankwo's brother, Chijoke Nwankwo. Nwankwo is a defensive tackle just like his brother, and per Adam Munster-Tiger, the unrated Chijoke will be a walk-on player for the fall. Again, we just continue with the family atmosphere, adding another set of siblings to the roster. Overall, Colorado sits right now at 78 scholarships, with room to add more if the opportunity is right. Coach Prime has really placed himself in a great opportunity to find any last-minute transfers or any players that decide to leave their programs late. Now that the spring season is over and we move into the off-season for college football, let's take a look at both the projected depth for the team and who might be the starters come the first game in the fall. Now, These were sourced from different sites, so they are not guaranteed to be accurate or final, obviously, and a little bit of my own opinion mixed in there. But before getting into it, I want to bring up some interesting facts brought up by Matt H over on Twitter. Matt is a must follow for any Buff fan as he has a ton of insight and information. But Matt wrote in a series of tweets, which we will see here, in regards to an interesting stat known as SRS, or the Simple Rating System. The SRS is a rating that takes into account the average point differential and strength of a schedule. The rating is denominated in points above and below average, where 0 signifies average. Now, Colorado, when Prime took over, Colorado's SRS was a negative 12.08. I didn't stutter there. That's right, a negative 12.08. That is 12 points below average. After overhauling the roster and only winning 4 games, as so many point out online, Coach Prime actually raised Colorado's SRS to a plus 0.98. That's right, plus. That is an increase of 13.06 in year 1. It is honestly unheard of, and usually, based on Matt's tweets and statistics of similar coaches across the country, takes 3 years to see similar changes and swings to the scores after they arrive. I believe this is just one of the many things that shows just how much of an impact Coach Prime has had on this team, and how that 4-8 record really doesn't tell the whole story. Now, moving into year 2, Coach Prime has taken a hard look at both himself, the coaching staff, and the team, and made a number of changes again with the hopes of creating even more success. Probably the biggest change has been the coaching staff turnover this past offseason, with new coaches taking over at OC, DC, defensive line, offensive line, and all over the coaching staff. That includes bringing in Pat Shimmer for the OC job, Rob Livingston for the DC job, our offensive line coach Phil Lodeholt, our defensive line coach Des Moines Lewis, and our new GA defensive line coach Warren Sapp. Besides the coaching staff, the other big change had to occur in the trenches, both on offense and defense, where Colorado struggled the most last season. Now on screen, you are seeing a rough idea of what we have seen in the trenches this spring and what we might expect to see in the fall on the offensive side. Of course, the highlight is 5-star Jordan Seaton, who picked Colorado over so many top programs. Seaton should have the left tackle position locked up, with some growing pains as the season goes on, so I have a feeling he might get a longer leash, but we will see. Other spots in the line may still be up for grabs, with competition at center, guard, and right tackle to most likely come up until the fall in that first game. Here is a predicted defensive line depth chart for Colorado. Again, we see a total overhaul of what Colorado had previously, with the biggest change simply being size. Going from around an average of 280 pounds last season to well over 300 pounds with the new additions. This massively will help with stopping the run, which was a major issue for Colorado last year, as every team seemed to run at will and was able to push back that defensive line easily. Now, just looking at the difference in the weight, it really shows why they were pushed around so much last year. Highlights that were added that should be of impact and will possibly play a role in the starting positions are Chidozie Nwankwo, Torian Carter, Anquan Barnes in the middle, and the outside we should see a much different pass rush, with some amazing players added to the roster, allowing the coach to rotate those edges out so that they can get after the quarterback. Those include Sam Okunlola, BJ Green, Deion Hayes, and Quincy Wiggins, plus others, adding some much needed pass rushing skills, speed, and ability to the edge room. As far as the skill positions, we already know quarterback, but running back has definitely seen an upgrade in what some might say was a surprising move. Going into the offseason, many had Alton McCaskill and Dylan Edwards as your 1-2 punch for next year. However, after the offseason and both of those players leaving, Colorado was able to add Rashad Amos and Dallin Hayden, bringing quite the 1-2 punch that should actually help increase the team's total yards per carry, because both players have a carrying career average of over 5 yards per. This is quite an upgrade, and while Alton McCaskill and Dylan Edwards are both very skilled in their own rights, I think bringing in two more proven backs who have done it at the college level and done it consistently brings a much better overall consistency to the running back room. The receiving room has been getting national attention, so don't sleep on this if you're at home watching this, because many news outlets have Colorado either in the top 5 or top 10 when it comes to receiving rooms. Well, when your room includes Travis Hunter, we all know who he is, Will Shepard, a player who put up over 1,000 yards in the SEC last year for Vanderbilt, Omarion Miller, a highly touted upcoming recruit who saw an amazing game against USC and has flashed all spring as possibly one of the top targets. And then, of course, LeJontay Wester, the new transfer from the lower levels of college football. However, his stats were absolutely insane, and so far in the spring season, you can definitely see the chemistry that him and Shador have created this spring. This room will be on a rotation a lot and could see packages including 5 receivers quite frequently, not even to mention players like Jimmy Horn Jr. coming back from last year's team and allowing him to be an even greater part and put up higher stats. Finally, we have the defensive backs, where actually the biggest change to the depth chart coming out of spring was to move Travis Hunter into the slot, opening up the outside cornerback spots for newcomers DJ McKinney, Preston Hodge, and Colton Hood to battle it out. Right now, DJ McKinney and Preston Hodge hold the starter positions, but Colton Hood, as well as some other players, will be joining the team this summer and could make a play for that starting role. Lastly, the safety room, with most likely day one starters already being Shiloh Sanders and Cameron Silman Craig, they have added additions such as RJ Johnson, Herman Smith, and potential freshman safety Cam Michael to round out the important depth for the team at that position. Also, don't sleep on the fact that even though Trevor Woods did move over to linebacker, if for some reason something happened in the safety room, I am sure they could look at swapping him back. As a fan, who do you want to see start in certain positions? And who do you guys have being your dark horse newcomer on this team? Let us know down below in the comments. We will be starting live streaming this week on Tuesday, thanks to our community sounding off on when they wanted to see it. So join me this Tuesday at 4:30 p.m. Mountain Time to discuss the prior weekend's video and news, as well as the other news that is important in both college football and the Buffs in general, right here on YouTube. So make sure you hit that subscribe and hit the notifications so you know when we post, but also when we go live every week. For Buffs News Weekly, I'm Russ Dornish. Sco Buffs!
Give me my theme music!